רגיעה לא היה אף פעם ולא יהיה, ומלחמה יהיה. זה חבל על הזמן. אין רגיעה. איזה רגיעה? מתי הייתה רגיעה בכלל?
انتهت التهدئة ولا مجال لتجديد هذه التهدئة، والعدو الصهيوني يتحمل المسؤولية عن انتهاء وانهيار هذه التهدئة لأنه لم يلتزم بأي من استحقاقات التهدئة.
Gaza is extremely desperate and bleak at the moment. The power cuts now, where 600,000 people in Gaza City are without electricity and will be until the power plant can resume its operation, just adds more to the misery of ordinary, decent people, the civilian population.
We don't have water. We can't wash anything, not even clean the fish we managed to get days ago. Look here. This is shrapnel from an Israeli missile that fell nearby. It broke the window. The Israelis claim they're not harming civilians or their homes, that Hamas is bearing the brunt of this war. Well, what does this look like to you?
I asked her if she blames Hamas for what's happening.
No. From the day I was born, I have seen missiles and attacks in Gaza. With or without Hamas, Israel punishes us. It's the same story over and over again.
The General said he is very concerned at the decision taken today by the Israeli government to declare the Gaza Strip an enemy entity and its announced intent to interrupt essential services such as electricity and fuel to the civilian population. Such a step would be contrary to Israel's obligations towards the civilian population under international humanitarian and human rights law.
Today decided that it's declaring that Gaza Strip is a hostile territory, and the meaning is that even though when it comes to the humanitarian needs we have our own responsibility, on the other hand all the needs which are more than the humanitarian needs will not be supplied by Israel to Gaza Strip. We do hope that the situation in Gaza Strip will change in the future, and also the Palestinians understand that supporting these kind of terrorists are not going to help them.
That Gaza and the West Bank are both constituent entities of the to-be Palestinian state, and so that is not to say that Gaza is to be separated off somehow and treated as if it is run. The legitimate government of Gaza is ultimately that of the Palestinian Authority. But Hamas is indeed a hostile entity. It's a hostile entity to the United States as well.
The Arab ambassadors to request an urgent meeting of the Security Council, and that the permanent representatives of the Arab countries are going to convene the Council, represent us in the Council, at least in the first phase of the consultations over a resolution on the question of ceasefire and seize the aggression against the people in Gaza.
The coverage on the Gaza territory conflict encompasses the involvement of other nations in its humanitarian dilemma. The violent conflict began when Hamas, the Islamic Resistance Movement, formally terminated the ceasefire with Israel in December 2008. The intention of Hamas is to create one Islamic state in all of Palestine. The group believes some of the land in Israel, mainly the Gaza Strip along the West Bank, belongs to Palestine, which is the underlying cause of the controversy. The United States and Israel have largely blamed Hamas for causing the hostile environment in the area due to their suicide attacks, which have killed Israeli civilians and soldiers. When Hamas gained representation in the Palestinian government in 2006, Israel and Palestine grew further away from meeting an agreement, as Israel refused to remove its citizens and troops from the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, Palestine's Hamas government has continued to tighten its security of the region with military forces. With such a strong military presence, the citizens of Gaza have faced many challenges, risks, and inconveniences in their daily lives. Not taking into account the cases of bodily harm surrounding the conflict, there are another handful of other issues as well. The loss of jobs and raw materials for manufacturing and the decrease in the amount of money people live on a day have led the area to become extremely detrimental. Also, the lack of reliable electricity and running water in the crucial environments like hospitals has become a health risk. The Israeli blockade on the Gaza Strip has led to extreme humanitarian violations concerning those living in the region. In addition to the lack of food, medication, etc., Israel has been accused of attacking civilians and not taking into account the necessary measures to preserve civilian life. On the other side, Palestine has been firing rockets and ammunition into Israel. A UN report from the Human Rights Council noted war crimes on both sides of Israel and the Hamas government, which causes the UN to further question its involvement in the conflict. The U.S. and Israeli government have recognized Hamas as being a terrorist organization. The alignment of U.S. and Israeli interests has led U.S. officials to reject supporting the Hamas government, which makes it difficult to provide the proper care for the refugees in the Gaza Strip. The U.S. government refusal to align itself with the Hamas-centered government is based largely in response to U.S. voters. Although there are certain Jewish groups in the United States against Israel's violent approach toward Gaza, many of them are claiming that they have their own right to the land of Gaza. A group of Middle Eastern nations known as the Arab League has not been able to delegate a key leader to the negotiation between Palestine and Israel. Although Egypt has served as a major envoy to the nations in the past, there has been a divide on how to handle the Hamas political influence and the Israeli retaliation. Many nations are unsure of Hamas's intentions. They believe an agreement to a ceasefire in exchange for the withdrawal from the Jewish state is only a temporary ploy for other motives. Overall, the involvement of nations abroad has muddled and distorted the reality of the Gaza conflict. Lack of humanitarian support and aid is caused by nations to citizens of Gaza.